Hello there. Welcome to my YouTube channel again. This is actually the second time I've recorded this audio because I tried doing this on my phone and for whatever reason it decided to not upload and the video footage ended up disappearing from my phone. Well, most of it anyway. Anyways, this will be mainly about my coming out story and some other life stuff. It is partially scripted because I do have somewhat of a script that I started for the original video it was supposed to be on, and then it got really long and it wouldn't have worked. So anyway, thank you for coming to my video. And basically what you're watching me do is crochet this shawl. It's called a perfect pocket shawl, I think is what it's called. I don't know, I don't have the pattern with me, but I've made it before and this is the second time I've made it. Okay, on to the story. So, not to kind of like stereotype myself, sorry. I've kind of always been the oddball child. I guess I was a difficult child as well. Somehow got my mom to tell me that. But like, for context, I was born female and was comfortable with my femininity until I would say about age 8, because that's when I started doing swim team, and that's also when around the same time I started to develop crushes. Like the youngest I was when I had developed a crush was 6. Back on track, like I always hung out with guys. Like even now, most of my friends are still guys, and also most of my cousins, especially when I was younger, were all guys. I was the oldest granddaughter at that point. Of course, now I'm just a grandchild. And I'm not the oldest because there's 2 cousins above me. There was a lot of things. Like, I was very particular when people would call me Tom Girl when I really wanted to just be called Tomboy. But like, I didn't want to be a boy, but I didn't want to be a girl. I didn't even know what non-binary was at that time. I didn't learn about the queer community until I was like about 13. And like also puberty hit late, but that was because there was issues I had with food because of I'm actually gluten intolerant, and we also during swim team didn't really. I mean, we ate a lot, but like especially me, I was nicknamed the bottomless pit, and like didn't matter how much I ate, I was always hungry. And of course, swimming 5 times a week plus competitions on the weekends made my weight like a little bit lower than it probably should have been. Anyway, I was like maybe 12 or 13, maybe 14 when I learned about the queer community, and I grew up Catholic, and there was really no teachings about, oh, being gay is bad when you're like in grade 1 through maybe 6 or 7, and then they kind of introduce it to you because you're about to go into high school and you're going to be exposed to a bunch of different people. For context, I am homeschooled, so I really don't get out a whole lot. Didn't and still don't. I thought it was pretty cool because like I didn't realize there was different people. Like I didn't realize some people were different than what they were born as. Some people liked the same gender. Some people liked some genders, and some people liked all genders. And at that point, I did like have really strong admiration for certain girls, like especially characters. Princess Kita was probably my first crush. And didn't realize I probably was bi at that point. And like I also learned about non-binary, which was outside of the gender binary. If you're watching this, hopefully you know what that means. And anyway, I got a Facebook when I was like about 15 and a half. I think. I was almost 15 and a half. And that was because I decided to start a little paracord bracelet business. And my mom was like, oh, we should probably make you a Facebook page and like gain more traction and stuff. And then so I created a Facebook account so I could make a Facebook page. And I started sending some friend requests to people I knew, and like most of them, all of them, were mutuals with my mom, because at that time my mom didn't want me to be mutuals with anyone that she wasn't mutuals with. One of those people was an old conservative man, Catholic man, and we only knew him because he was my sister's godfather's brother, and he sent me the friend request, and for context, he spam posted everything. Like, he spam shared everything from like PragerU, Daily Wire, The Blaze, any super right-leaning conservative stuff, and especially when it came to transphobia. And I soaked that in so bad, and to the point that my sisters, who are all a little bit younger than me, were starting to get in fights with me because I would be saying, oh, trans people are wrong, gay people are wrong, and blah, blah, blah. And they would bring up facts, and I would just be so blind. And if you have ever been in a fight with someone who's like that, then yeah, that's what it was like. And it's also quite odd because this is when my whole no, I'm a tomboy, not a tomgirl phase really kicked in. Because, like, I did not dress a whole lot femininely. I cannot pronounce words right now. It is too late for that. And, like, there's been several times where I had been forced to wear skirts or dresses because all my dress pants were dirty and they didn't want me to wear jeans to mass. Which I understand. But eventually they, like, got lenient on that. My parents. And then I would say about age 16, almost 17, the little nugget of truth that I was maybe possibly queer came forward, because I was watching a Ladylike video and Freddie Ransom was popped up, and my brain was like, I wonder what it would be like to kiss her. And I immediately freaked out, because remember, I was still super homophobic, and I panicked and just hated myself for, I would say, a month or so. And like, I remember it was around that time because I was still in youth group at this point, and we were cleaning up the youth ministry house, and my sister, joking around, went into one of the closets and to like clean it, and then as she was done, she stepped out of the closet and said, haha, I'm out of the closet. And then later made a joke about fishing for men because she had a costume piece for was it, I don't remember which guy it was from the Bible, but one of the fishermen. And and then when we got into the car after that, she said something about it to my mom, and my mom was like, oh yeah, maybe you're just bisexual, as a joke. And in my head, I was like, haha, it's actually me. But I didn't say anything because, trying not to get myself more hated on because there was a lot of issues between me and my mom when I was younger. And flash forward a few months later, it is June. Chloe and I, my sister, applied to a job at our local McDonald's. We both got in, and there was a guy there that he's trans, and that was kind of my first exposure to someone who's trans in real life. And at this point, I was starting to question like my religious and political beliefs because of the internal battle in my head of internalized transphobia and stuff. And like I started to get to know him better, and then I found out he was also queer, and then I started meeting more queer people because one of the managers there is gay, and he has become one of my good friends. And then that's when my sister Chloe ended up figuring it out that I was bi because I created a Pinterest board titled Beautiful People, and I was just pinning a bunch of like pretty people I've seen on TikTok, and I showed it to her, and she's like, "Oh, you like women and men, right?" I was like, "Yeah." It's like, I figured. And then like the next day, I told the twins. They're both about 3 years younger than me, 4 years. I'm 19, they're 16. Oh yeah, that's 3. I had to do the math. And I went up to the first one, the one I get along better with. It was like, out of all of us, who do you think would be part of the LGBTQ community? And she was like, honestly, I think it would be you because, like, you know, all that homophobia. And I was like, yeah, you're right, I'm bi. And then I told the other twin, and she was like, it would be hilarious if it was you. And I was like, yeah, it is me. And they're like, okay. And like, I didn't say anything about it that much. Like, I knew eventually it would have to come up because, you know, I gotta grow up and date people because I gotta like get out there at some point. And like around this time I was accepting it, like a little bit before, and then I just accepted it. And then I wasn't really thinking a whole lot about gender until later on. Well, anyways, flash forward to November. We were invited to like a pre-Thanksgiving get-together with all of my mom's siblings. Like, all but one was there, but he obviously couldn't come because he is not here anymore. And they were talking about one of my, I think second cousins is what you would call them. They came out as non-binary like a little bit before that get-together. And I haven't seen them in a really long time. I remember getting along with them so well, and I wonder why. And I remember it was like, I was like, huh, well, they're not the only one part of the LGBTQ community in my family. I almost said that. And then a panic attack ensued, and I went to the bathroom, and that's when I decided, okay, I gotta make a plan to come out eventually. Because, I mean, sure, you don't have to come out, but like, I just want to announce it before I like bring a girl home or something. I decided, like, okay, I have 3 plans. I gotta come out either on Christmas, which is obviously in December, New Year's Eve or day, because that's the start of a new year, or my birthday, which was in February. And I decided not to come out on the first 2 because, first off, Christmas would have been rough because we went over to my grandparents' house. Obviously, they're accepting, but like, I didn't want to cause any trouble. I was gonna say it on New Year's, but we ended up going to a friend's house, which they ended up coming back in the picture because that friend's house, their cousins, their one cousin and brother was over. Basically, background with the story is we became friends with the mom, or grandma now, and her daughter, who's in her 20s, got married to a man, and they were living at home at that point with her mom. And so they hung out a lot. And this guy's cousin and brothers would hang out occasionally. And I met the cousin like Thanksgiving. But like I really didn't talk to him. And I met him again on New Year's Eve. And that's when I kind of started like talking to him because like make a new friend. And that's when he added me on Facebook as a Facebook friend, and he started messaging me. And I had talked to him like on and off, messaging him before, like I think it was January, it was early January. I think it may be the 13th or 14th. I guess he asked my mom if it was okay to ask me on a date, because mind you, I was 17 at this point and he was 19. It was a little bit of a power dynamic there, but it was just a 2-year difference. And I'm not justifying anything, but I'm just saying it wasn't a whole lot, because like I kind of matured for my age, and at this point I was hyper feminizing myself. I think it was at this point trying to repress any gender feelings. I was like exploring my like identity a little bit, like because that's when I started playing with makeup, because I didn't want to get it when I was 14. So yeah, of course I was gonna look a little prettier than I usually do. And so later that night he asked me out on a date, and we went. I think about a week later. It was good, it was nice. And he asked me out on a second one. We went out. I think we went to a Mexican restaurant. For background, he's Guatemalan. So, obviously, he'll most likely like Hispanic and Latin food. And I do too, because I grew up like with a part Puerto Rican mom. With my only attachment to my culture is my food, because we used to make gandules all the time. Anyways, on that second date, like towards the end, because we went back to his cousin's house, by extension our friend's house, and we sat in the basement watching, I don't remember which movie it was. What was a Netflix movie? And he asked me to be his girlfriend, and that was my first kiss. But like when we were watching that movie, there was a character in it. I think it was a movie with Noah with Noah, I cannot pronounce his name. But his movie's premise is something about an app that's basically like a dating app, but instead of dating, you can get people to do things for you and then pay them money. I don't remember. The movie premise was weird. Anyway, Noah's best friend in the movie is a gay man, and they kind of didn't make it clear, other than the fact he had the stereotypically high voice and like the feminine characteristics of a gay man, stereotypes. And every time that character came on the scene, my ex would say, I think he's gay, like kind of like whispering out, like I could hear it, but he would say it, until the character flirted with a guy that he liked. And then he was like, oh yeah, he's gay. That's so weird. I just froze. It's like, why would you say that? I mean, yeah, he had a Christian upbringing, and I don't know what it was like in Guatemala, but certainly you should have been more open-minded. And I just kind of sat there. And I still kind of regret saying yes to being his girlfriend. And also, I told my mom that night that him and I were official and whatever, and then I told him the next day. It's like, oh yeah, I told my mom that we're official. And he did not like that. It's like, I wanted to wait until you turned 18. I wanted to tell them. Like, bro, why did you want to tell my parents? They're my parents, and they should know, right? From my mouth. But I digress. Anyways, we went on a few more dates, And like that's when we started like talking on the phone. And like I started okay, wait. I do almost forgot about another date. I think it was the fourth date. On the third date, my mom asked him if he wanted to come to a concert for the Philharmonics that she's part of. And he said, yeah, sure, it'll be fun. And you'll get, and because my mom wanted to know him more and him to get to know some more of my family, he, I guess, was scared because my mom asked him inside. I don't know why he was getting scared. Like, what are we gonna do? Jump you? And then we went. We ate dinner beforehand, and I drove separately with him to the concert because I went there with my mom and my sisters because at that time I did have my license, but I didn't feel comfortable driving almost an hour by myself at that point. And so him and I were alone in the car, and while we were driving over to the performance hall, he was saying, oh yeah, you can tell me anything you want. We can be just really open about this. Like, you can just talk to me. And so I was like, yeah, well, in the past I've been dealing with like depressive episodes, but like, and I was about to say, but I'm better now. I've been doing better. Because my New Year's resolution was to focus on my mental health, and like barely a month in, and this man wrecked it. He, this was at the beginning of February as well. Gotta add that. He cut me off right when I was about to say, but I'm getting better. And he was like, well, you know, you could pray. God is with you. God, Jesus loves you. And I like zone out. Because first off, at this point, I was severely questioning my religion. And I zoned back in when he was like, you know what I mean, right? I was like, yeah. And I was so uncomfortable the rest of the car ride. And he knew. He was like, I could tell he knew something was off, but like, I don't know how he just didn't know why I was off. And then like, I was very distant from him the rest of the night. Like, I tried to interact with him and all this stuff. Like, there was no passion there. And like, I started just to lose feelings. But I was holding on to it because like, I wanted to make it work. I got worse mentally. Like, I was getting better and then I got worse. Just from that one little comment. And then we started talking on the phone, like I said. And I started bringing up more things after that. Like, I have an auditory processing disorder and suspected autism, which is something that was brought up to me when I was 16. And like, that could have explained my social anxiety and my lack of social skills so much if I was told sooner. Anyways, he was like, are you sure you have those? Because, you know, you could just be like, you seem fine. And like, we didn't have people like that down in Guatemala. Like, yeah, because those people culturally would have been deemed crazy people. I didn't say that because at that point I was not super confrontational. I'm still not. And a few phone calls later, I was starting to consider, like, did tell him, oh yeah, I have something that I need to tell my parents, kind of like a secret, but not really. But like, I don't feel comfortable saying it right now because it's not the time. It's like, oh, you can tell me. It's like, no, I don't really feel comfortable. And he kept pressuring me ever since after that to like, oh yeah, you can tell me the secret. You can tell me the secret. And like, also, I told him about Pinterest, and he was like, oh, I'll create a Pinterest. It sounds really cool. And at this point, I was, like I said, questioning my religion, and I was starting to look into like astrology. I saved a lot of zodiac stuff to a certain board. And when he followed that, he saw zodiac stuff. And then he's like confronted me one day and was like, you know, that stuff's not real. You shouldn't be believing in that. And I was like, okay. I mean, I still did that after that. I'm like, he doesn't control my life. He's not my parent. And I started trying to tell him about my quote unquote secret, which, spoiler, I'm queer. I was like, well, and I got into a conversation about how many different people and like people of different backgrounds or like ethnicities I've known over the year. Like I brought up one of my friends from home, like a homeschool group. He was black and adopted in the family, and like I know a lot of Hispanic people, and of course like everyone on my mom's side or most everyone is Puerto Rican, whether part or full, like especially farther down the line. And like I've gotten into like a lot, and then I started getting into like religion, like how I've known some people who are Jewish and different types of Christianity, and then I got into sexualities because I know a few lesbians. And at this point, like I didn't really know my gay manager because like I knew he was, but I didn't talk to him. And then I said something. Oh yeah, and it was pretty cool because like you get to know like a lot of people. And it's like, yeah, but just think like LGBT people are just kind of weird. It's kind of like not right. And I shut down. And like he like acted like I should have agreed with him. And he's like, like, no. But I didn't say that. I just shut down because I have a tendency to shut down. Because if I don't shut down, I will bite someone's head off. Figuratively, not literally. But anyways, he started noticing I was getting more and more distance. And then fast forward a few days later after that phone call, it was my birthday. That was the day I was supposed to come out. I barely remember that birthday. At my 18th birthday, why would I not remember? Oh yeah, because I was a mess all day, even though it didn't seem like it. I guess I knew they were planning a surprise party at that friend's house. My boyfriend's cousin's mother-in-law house. And my ex had the audacity to tell me, oh yeah, they're planning a surprise birthday for you. I was like, it's not a surprise anymore. It's like, oh, as long as you don't tell anyone that I told you, you should be fine. I mean, I probably am messing up like timelines and stuff at this point because I don't remember much. I'm trying to block this era out as much as possible because at this point I was still hyper femme. So a lot of my more feminine times are kind of blocked out for whatever reason, because like I'm starting to get more comfortable with feminine things again. And so anyway, they were trying to say, oh yeah, we're going at X, Y, and Z when we were heading over to our friend's house. And I knew we were going there because I know how to get to her house. I've almost driven that way, but I like pay attention to directions and stuff. And we're almost there. And I'm like, do you recognize it? Like, do you recognize? Like, yeah. We're going to Miss insert name here because I don't really want to say her name. And I was like, yeah, I kind of guess, but I couldn't say that because like I said I kind of guess because of the direction, not because he freaking told me. Well, I got there and then I was just distant from him because guess what? That was the day I was supposed to come out. I almost told my mom after he left because he had to be driven back by his cousin because he didn't have a car. He had a license, but he didn't have a car. And so I almost told my mom that day. But, like, my mental state was terrible. And so I don't remember most of that night. Like, I looked at a video that my sister took on my phone from that night. Like, I don't remember most of it. And we went home after that, and then the whole week leading up to the day that I actually ended up coming out, I don't remember because I was in a really bad headspace. I was anxious. I was really depressed. And then 9 days later, February 23rd of 2020, was when I decided, hey, I am going to come out as bi. I decided that at 2 o'clock in the morning after I sent my friends a happy birthday because it was his birthday also that day. And my mom and 2 sisters also had a symphony concert that day. And that's one of the reasons why I was able to do it, because my mom and my twin sisters and my other sister was out of the house. So, and also my dad was outside fixing up one of our animal shelters because it was starting to break. I mean, I was supposed to be helping, but I spent the first hour of him doing that. Not hour, but like maybe close to half an hour, because like I decided, okay, I'm gonna do a YouTube video and make it unlisted, which it worked, but also backfired on me. And as soon as my mom and those 3 sisters left, my dad and the rest of my siblings went outside, and I went down to my basement into the schoolroom, because we're homeschooled, so my mom made a schoolroom for the little kids, and I don't use it, or didn't use it, except for that. And I sat down in front of my phone, my crappy, cheap $25, 30 phone, I don't remember what it was, and I stared at it, trying not to break down, for half an hour, because from the time that I decided at 2 o'clock in the morning to actually filming it, I was shaking, I was nervous, I was in a cold sweat, I could not retain heat, like I was a mess, like I was severely stressed out, and no one noticed, even though I was on the verge of tears almost the whole day leading up to then. And I sat in front of that phone for good 15-20 minutes, because after a certain while, with my old phone, it would say, are you still using the camera? Because if not, we will shut off in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I think it did that maybe once or twice, and I finally got it out. The video was short and sweet. It was like 1 minute long. I was like, hi guys, there's like something. I probably could still find the video is still up. It's just unlisted. Or is it private now? Anyways, you can't get it unless you have the link. And then I sat back after that video, uploaded it on YouTube, and then just waited. Went outside, helped my dad, came back in like 2 hours later, went to my computer, uploaded the link to my Instagram and my Facebook, shut off my phone, shut off my computer, and made brownies, because apparently at that point, stress cooking was the best thing I could do. And my little brother helped me, because guess what? Apparently my siblings are the greatest distraction. Which is not good, but also I'm glad they're there a lot of the times. And my mom got home. Actually, no, I went outside like maybe an hour after I posted it, and I had like 2 or 3 different messages from 2 or 3 different people. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. That must have been so hard. Like, I'm ever here if you ever need to talk. And I'm like, I broke down, just crying of relief. And I went back inside, because like I went outside to read it, because I did not want to break down for my dad, because my mom wasn't home yet. And then my mom got home. It was like, T, we need to talk. Papa, you both in my room. And I broke down, started crying again, because my mom was like, why didn't you tell us already? You knew, with all the friends I had, with that we would have accepted you. And it's like, and my dad was so confused, because he's not very big on social media. And I was like, are you going to tell him? Does he know? I'm like, no, he doesn't know. It's like, are you going to tell him? Like, and I started crying worse, and I couldn't speak. My mom's like, T is bisexual. Like, it was bi, but I guess. And basically, since we are Catholic, I'm not, but they are, and we didn't have time to go to mass in the morning. We had night mass at 8 o'clock, and we all went as a family, and I was still extremely stressed out. I don't know what that notification was. And I just sat there trying not to cry because I saw a friend of mine who's on my Instagram and Facebook. It's like, oh great, does she know? Does she know? Does she know? I'm like, okay. And also, I guess 2 people went and contacted my mom before they contacted me. Someone who was very big in the youth group, and then my youth group director. And they talked to them, to my mom before me. I don't know why. Anyways, and then the next day, the 24th, is when my boyfriend broke up with me. He, I hadn't heard from anything from the morning of the 23rd until my sister was like, you probably should message him to see if he's okay and stuff, see if he's alive. And I messaged him, was like, hey, is everything okay? Shut my phone down and started playing the game with my younger sisters and brothers, and I felt my phone buzz 3 times, and I just tensed, and my sister, who told me to message him, came back and was like, did he message you? And I said, yeah, I think so. Have you read it? Nope. She said, do you want me to read it? I said, might as well. Not even 5 minutes go by, and she comes back. I was like, I'm not even done reading it, but you need to read it. And my other sister, because the twins, decided to read it. I was like, you need to read it. I was so emotionally done at this point. I just kind of sat back and was like, I didn't cry when I was reading it, and it was a long message. Basically, the gist of it, he was like, I could feel something off, but I didn't know what it was. It was after the symphony concert, and I was like, yeah, I wonder why. And it's like, it just was worse on your birthday. He just felt so distant. It's like, yeah, I wonder why. But I didn't say those things to him because, first off, I didn't want to start a fight at that point because I was kind of out of it. And he was like, I hope someday in the future your eyes are opened. And he proceeded to basically say that he was over, and I was like, yeah, peace out. I don't want to be associated with you anymore. And he broke up with me over text with a long message. Anyways, that's not even getting into my gender identity, which might have to be another video because most of this was just ranting. And yeah, thank you for watching me crochet and ramble about me coming out as bi, which now I identify as queer. Peace out, homies.